Alright, let's see what we're dealing with today, shall we?
Hello there, guys. It's Kristi.
I knew this day would come eventually. Alright, what's she complaining about this time?
And I was wondering if you could help me with a bit of a mystery. I'm wondering why it is that Bering refuses to debate me or have a discussion on the accusations he made about me and Danny Quartz conspiring to gather his information, giving it to Cobalt Cat, and doing all that.
Seriously, Kristi, this is what you want to talk about? It's been over a year. You need to let things go, darling. Alright, that's fine. If that's what you want to talk about. It's your dime. But I warn you, Miss Winters, I'm not going to be as nice as Bering. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Help for the Guiltless. My name, of course, is Antoine. Now, I want to point something out. A little tidbit. I've never done a video on Kristi Winters. Go on, you can check my archive, pause the video, open up another window, go ahead and look. Now, I've mentioned her on a couple videos, but I've never done one directly to her. That all changes today, because Kristi Winters has a problem, and it's intellectual dishonesty. Aside from the fact that she's completely obsessed with the man from a card and the big brown bear from Australia. And I tend to not want to do videos on her because it's low-hanging fruit, and Bering and Sargon tend to handle their business relatively easily. Well, with her last video and a string of tweets from her personal Twitter page, you have got my attention, Kristi. Before we get into this, let's listen to what she really has to say, though. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
So here is the situation. Over a year ago, Bering falsely accused Danny and myself of deciding to gather his private information, of actually gathering that information and then handing it off to Cobalt Cat, who published it on Encyclopedia Dramatica.
This was over a year ago. You said yourself. And Bering stated that he may not have enough evidence to convict you in a court of law, but the evidence that he does have was good enough for him in evidence that you were the cause of it. He's not asking for you to be charged. It just puts this little mark next to your name that you're doxer. But let's talk about you, Kristi. Now here, talking to your pal Hitler, you say that Bering falsely accused you of leading a flagging campaign, just like he falsely accused you of conspiring to dox him. We talked about that part already. You did lead a flagging campaign. Your video where you say, if someone were to do this, now I'm not going to do it, but if someone were to do this, this is how you go about reporting his videos. That's telling your 5,000 or so subscribers, hey, Bering doesn't like me. I don't like Bering. Here's how to flag his videos. Here's how to flag his Twitter. Oh, and bringing this up because Bering is an amoral idiot. He didn't call out his buddy Doc's Holiday, and he won't call out Tonka either. He's driven by ego, not principles. Darling, take a look in the mirror. Really. One, he doesn't have to call out Jeff Holiday, and he doesn't need to call out Tonka Saw either. Both of them are big boys and can do things on their own. What you're trying to do is play guilt by association. You see, he's friends with Jeff Holiday, so thus he must be okay with doxing. So he possibly could dox you instead. Let's set the record straight, shall we, Kristi? Bering did receive your dox, and he emailed it to you and told you who did it, and said, I don't want this, I'm deleting it, deal with it. As far as I can tell, he's already done a better job at this than you ever could.
That is a lie, and it's been spread around the internet, and Danny and I have both been labeled doxers falsely.
This coming from the woman who couldn't help but when Encyclopedia Dramatica did post Bering's docs, spread the information to anyone who would listen. You may not have found his information, but you are still guilty of spreading it. It's just as bad. You cannot absolve yourself of this. That's why you were labeled a doxer, Kristi. Because you are. You had the information. You knew where it was, and you spread it around. That's doxing.
Now, in a normal situation, I would be able to face my accuser and ask for the evidence upon which he's making those accusations.
Upon a normal situation? Are you saying in a court of law? Because that's the only time you have a right to face your accuser. You're not suing him. You're not taking him to court. He's not taking you to court. So this is kind of moot. And your evidence, if you have it, display it. It's that simple. Oh, and let's point out one thing, shall we, Kristi? You're in Germany. The right to face your accuser is in America. Bering is in Australia. If you can get an American lawyer to prosecute someone in Germany who lives in Australia, I will pay you money, because that's goddamn impressive.
But the fact is that Bering keeps running away and hiding each time he's offered an opportunity to do just that.
He's not running away from you, Kristi. He's abiding by what you wanted, which was for him to leave you alone. I mean, you got what you wanted. Remember Operation Shiny Object? You wanted to make Bering look like a fool because you were doing the Kraut thing before it was cool? You got what you wanted. And now that your channel is dwindling, your views aren't coming in, your live stream with Kevin Logan, the king of comedy, is failing, you need more drama money. This isn't the hill to die on. As a matter of fact, you should probably go back to your original content. It was much more entertaining.
So the first time was last April or so. The white YouTuber tried to negotiate a discussion between myself and Bering, and my requirements have always been the same. It has to be a fair, moderated discussion where each of us would have specific amounts of time. We couldn't just interrupt and talk over each other. It had to be based on the evidence, not just hurling insults back and forth. And those requirements are honestly, Bering keeps refusing to abide by them. And that to me seemed entirely fair because I want the opportunity to present my case and present my evidence, and I need to do that without being talked over and interrupted. And I'm happy to let Bering do the same. I would love to see what evidence he says he has that shows my involvement, Danny's involvement, that we actually gathered any information, that we ever talked to Cobalt Cat, or that we ever gave anything to Cobalt Cat.
Well, that's a lot to take in. You have a set of rules that you want, which is fine. You want to call it a discussion, but having a set amount of time per person with a moderator, well, that's a debate, Kristi. You don't want to say debate, but that's what it is. And you wanted to do it on the white YouTuber's channel? The person who has taken his platform and utterly destroyed it? It's not good. Especially when you want to choose someone who is just as invested in drama as you are. And you've already seen the evidence that he's presented. He made an entire video about it. Supposedly you watched it. It even goes into detail of how he found out things were going on and that you knew about it. Because of Tim. You need to talk to your friend a bit more. You already got what you wanted. You just want your chance to prove that you weren't doxing Bering. You have your chance. You have your channel. Present the evidence. Stop trying to piss on me and tell me it's raining. Just present it.
Now, especially that Doc's Holiday has been Bering's friend. I don't know, did he throw him under the bus? Has Bering ever come out and made a video about Doc's Holiday and what happened? Well,
one, this is guilt by association. You are trying to lump together two things that don't belong together. Doesn't matter if Jeff is friends with Bering or Bering has said anything against Jeff. It does not matter. And two, this is poisoning the well. You're trying to get people to not like him by grouping him together with what happened with Kraut. Intellectual dishonesty. You're a fucking professor. You're smarter than this. But let's be honest here. Your doctorate is in social sciences, so you know how to manipulate people. Let's be perfectly clear. Don't manipulate this situation. You are going to lose.
No, what a doxing server looks like.
Look, Carmen Sandiego, one example of something is not a big enough pool to give a perfect picture of what something is. As a matter of fact, I could give you 100 examples of what an apple looks like, each one looking different. It's called anecdotal evidence. You have one instance of anecdotal evidence of what a doxing server is. You are talking about things you have no idea what they are. Stop.
So the question to me is, if you were really a victim of doxing and you had evidence of the person that you accused, surely you would feel confident in presenting that evidence.
Are we really going to get into victim blaming, Kristi? I mean, regardless of the fact that if he was doxed by you or not, it still happened. You don't care that he's a victim. If this happened to Kristiosity, or, I don't know, the ranting feminist, would you feel the exact same way? Would you blame them for being doxed? I mean, you're blaming Bering. He doesn't have the evidence that you want, so it must not be true. You are the typical, hypocritical feminist.
And I know that I am fully confident in presenting my evidence that Bering lied about what Tim said, because I have the Tim Bering cab conversations, that Bering doxed himself, that his fans doxed him, that he bragged that he was easy to dox, that he knew his docs were being circulated in November, a month before the Encyclopedia Dramatica article went up.
You have all of this evidence. Good. Present it. Show us everything. I thirst for knowledge. If you can prove it, do it. But that's not what you want. You want to get Bering onto a live stream so you can get a gotcha moment on him. You want to try and make him look stupid. You want to try and embarrass him. You want the drama between you and him to be so palpable that it skyrockets you over 100,000 subscribers so you can be relevant again. This was over a year ago, Kristi. If you had the evidence, you should have done something about it over a year ago. But we all know that you had more pressing matters, like trying to silence Sargon of Akkad and shut down Mythicist Milwaukee. I mean, priorities and everything.
Why won't Bering debate me? Why won't he allow me to face his accusations, to face the evidence of his accusations, someplace that's not his channel where he can control everything? Why is he afraid of a moderated debate? And do you think that he should actually step up and present his evidence and make his accusations to my face where I can have a fair chance to counter them and present my counter evidence? Because that's been my mission for over a year now, and he keeps running away every single time he's offered it.
I will put this in simplistic terms just for you, because I have a feeling you cannot understand nuance. He does not have to debate you. He does not have to confront you. You are not entitled to his attention. It's that simple. You want a public execution. You also wanted him to leave you alone. You can't have both of those things.
All that's left to be said then is that I've been Kristi, you've been awesome, Bering is a coward, and we'll see each other again really soon. Bye-bye.
No, that is not all that is left to be said. Nice little dig at Bering at the end of it. But let's go through some tweets, shall we? Those are always fun, and it will show just how intellectually dishonest you are, especially this very first one. I want to draw your attention to what she says. Now, this is to the Bering fans she doesn't have blocked, like myself. Announcement to Bering fans. Since Pat is too afraid to face me in a fair debate, if any of his fans wanted to stand in and answer for his false allegations, you can present his case for him. I'll cross-examine you and present my evidence versus him for you to answer on his behalf. Does that make sense? Did you catch that? She wants to debate someone who is not Bering for Bering, so she can then throw all of this evidence that she supposedly has at them, and since they aren't Bering and don't have the evidence that Bering has, won't be able to actually argue against it, thus she gets her victory. That is intellectual dishonesty. I can't get the person I want to talk to, So I'm going to get an actual straw man to argue against it. Now, Baring is nice enough to respond. Kristi, nobody is speaking on my behalf. The offer to discuss on my channel is still open. You could even simulcast, so we're live on both channels. I'd appreciate a simple yes or no. You've tweeted at me 40 plus times in the last 2 days. Let's either make this happen or move on. Kristi then responds, more lies. Replying to others who have tagged you isn't tweeting you. If others are willing to do what you won't, I'm happy to go on their hangouts and show them evidence you doxed yourself and lied to them. Okay, now, she gets pretty blown the fuck out by your pal Hitler from the tweet I showed earlier. By him saying, right, I see a point, the doxing got out of hand, but that was something that affected Baring, and someone happened to toss your name out. I wouldn't say he's an abnormal idiot. I think he meant to say amoral idiot. That seems a bit harsh. I know he says mean things, but that's Baring's character. Now, she responds in the best way she possibly can, and the only way she possibly can, with what she likes to throw out. Baring is an intellectual property thief, a liar, a hypocrite, and he leads an audience of bigots and harassers. He admits he cares about no one but himself and his friends and family, and his content is the work of an untalented hack. His life is about hate. He's useless. An intellectual property thief. You know, like Kristi. A liar. Well, you can't just call him a liar because you don't think he's telling the truth. You could say you think he's dishonest. You can't outright call him a liar. A hypocrite. On what? What is he a hypocrite about? As far as I can tell, he's had the same standard for you guys that you have for him. You're the ones who can't live up to it. He leads an audience of bigots and harassers. You know, like Kristi bigots and harassers that came after me when I talked about her? Called me a Nazi? But she doesn't say anything about that. No. She has no problem with that going on. It's only that Baring has a larger audience than her that she has a problem with it. So let me put this plain and simple for you, Kristi, so you can get this through those thick glasses into that thicker skull. If you put your opinion online in the forum of social media, you open yourself up to whoever wants to talk about you. I am not separate from that analogy, but apparently I'm the only one out of the two of us that can actually deal with it. You are nothing more than a crying, whiny bitch. You keep making excuses. Like recently, he said, fine, you pick the channel, you pick the moderator, we'll talk. You have 10 days. What did you say? What did you say, Kristi? You said, well, it's going to take me a few weeks to get my evidence in order. We'll have to do it after that. I'm sorry, a few fucking weeks? You've put out a video, you've put out polls, you've put out tweets calling him out, and it's gonna take a few fucking weeks to get your evidence in order? Are you kidding me, woman? If I wanted to walk away with blue balls, I could go to a strip club and have someone 100 times hotter than you wave their ass in my face and grind on my crotch, and I would accomplish more than the bullshit you're spewing. You are poking a bear who finally gave in to you, and you are talking about needing weeks. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have here? We have a person with a failing channel, who is losing subscribers, who is losing views, whose daytime stream is not gaining any attention. And the only way she knows how to do anything is to start drama. Drama from over a year ago. Baring stated all of the evidence that he has is enough for him to believe you were involved. He's not suing you. He's not taking you to court. All he needs is a preponderance of the evidence to believe what he believes. He's dropped this. You haven't. Maybe I should ask Baring if he's started some form of special op online. Operation Bitchy Squinters or something, I don't know. Making her just go absolutely crazy with him basically not listening to her. He's done what you wanted, Kristi. He's left you alone. It's time you lived up to your part of the bargain. Because as far as I can tell, the only one who has an axe to grind here is you. The best advice I can give you, since you did come to me to cry on my shoulder, is drop it. You want to keep bringing up the intellectual property thief, the liar, the hypocrite? I can throw it right back in your face, and you're the one who looks stupid. And try, just try, to use the brain that you had to get a doctorate.
And those are my thoughts, folks. I'd love to know yours. Please let me know in the comments. If you like what I do here, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, hit that little bell icon so you know when I upload. If you'd like to support the channel, there are 2 links down below. One leads to Patreon, where there are different reward tiers that you can peruse, and the other is for PayPal, for those who don't want to go through Patreon. All of the links to follow me on all of the social medias, including my Discord, are down below. So with all that being said, this has been Help for the Guildless. My name, once again, is Antoine, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening.